everyone! Thanks for joining me. Today I will be talking about the 20th century British composer, performer, and conductor Ruth Gipps, along with her Wind Sinfonietta Opus 73 for double wind quintet plus tam-tam. Be sure to tune in on Saturday, April 24th at 7:30 p.m. to enjoy the Berks Sinfonietta Winds play this piece. Let's get started. Ruth Gipps was born in 1921 in East Sussex in a town called Bexhill-on-Sea. She was born into quite a musical family with a mother who was a piano teacher and the principal of the Bexhill School of Music, and a father and brother who were both violinists. As one could maybe anticipate from growing up in this environment, she quickly became a young child prodigy as a pianist and composer. She would give high-profile performances with local orchestras, and composed and even published her very first piece titled The Fairy Shoemaker at age 8. At age 16, she would enter the Royal College of Music, where she studied piano with Arthur Alexander and composition with R.O. Morris, Gordon Jacob, and later Ralph Vaughan Williams. Further, she had developed a liking for the oboe from attending orchestral concerts, and after becoming good friends with fellow classmate oboist Marion Brow, she decided to take up oboe herself. So she studied with Harold Shepley and later Leon Goossens. During the early war years, she would move her studies to Durham University, and there she would meet her future husband, clarinetist Robert Baker, and eventually she would become the youngest woman in Britain to earn her doctorate in music in 1948. In 1942, she married Robert Baker and pursued a joint career as a performer and composer. She would work as an orchestral oboist and English hornist and appear as a concert pianist for a variety of groups, such as the BBC Theatre Orchestra and the City of Birmingham Orchestra. From reading about her, I get the impression that she was an extremely accomplished and reliable performer. There are some impressive stories of her filling in for piano soloists at the very last minute, or playing a piano concerto in the first half of a concert and then playing a prominent English horn part on the second half of the concert. So she was certainly a very capable and versatile performer. By this time, she had also composed a variety of smaller chamber works, as well as some wind concertos for clarinet and oboe, a violin concerto for her brother, and some symphonic tone poems. She would receive various awards and recognition for these compositions, while also always receiving some flack for being a woman in a male-dominated field. These critiques did not discourage her, though. She would also write her first 2 symphonies in the 1940s, both of which were premiered by the City of Birmingham Orchestra, conducted by George Weldon. Throughout World War II, she was a member of the Council for the Encouragement of Music and Arts, which worked to stimulate the general interest in the arts, provided entertainment for factory workers, and gave opportunities for up-and-coming artists to perform. She would also indulge in her interest in conducting when, from 1948 to 1950, she became the choir master of the City of Birmingham Choir, as well as the conductor of the Birmingham Co-op Amateur Orchestra. She would also hold influential executive positions in the Composers Guild of Great Britain. By age 33, a flare-up of a past injury left her right hand lacking in fine motor skills, so she decided to shift away from her extensive performing career so she could focus on conducting, teaching, and composing. In 1955, Gipps founded the London Repertoire Orchestra, which gave many young performers a chance to debut their music or to perform repertoire in a real orchestral setting. She would run this ensemble almost completely on her own for 30 years. She was a lecturer in composition, among other things, at the Trinity College of Music, the Royal College of Music, and at Kingston Polytechnic. And she would go on to write over 100 pieces, including 5 symphonies, 7 concertos, among other works that featured solo instruments and orchestra, other orchestral tone poems, a vast amount of chamber works, and various types of choral music, both on a small and large scale. As I briefly mentioned before, Ruth Gipps encountered many barriers as a determined, outspoken woman in music. Likely partly due to this discrimination, during her lifetime she never really received widespread recognition for her vast contributions to many areas of music. Although I can probably imagine that she spread a lot of knowledge and had a positive impact on many of her individual students and mentees. She described her particular dilemma as such: "I've suffered from being unintentionally rather conspicuous. My mother was Swiss, and it was natural for me to wear bright colors. But polite English society doesn't really go for large, jolly, wide-hipped, and colorful females like me." I hope the music world can start giving Ruth Gipps' life and music the recognition it deserves. We hope Berks Sinfonietta can contribute to this revival of sorts with the performance of her Sinfonietta Opus 73. Gipps wrote her Sinfonietta Opus 73 in 1989. It was dedicated to a professional chamber music group called the Rondel Ensemble. Her son, Lance Baker, was the principal horn of the group, which is likely why you will hear some beautiful horn features throughout. She would personally conduct the first couple premieres of the work. The instrumentation of the piece involves a double woodwind quintet where the second oboe is replaced by an English horn, and a tam-tam, or an unpitched gong, is added to the 10-member group. This is actually not the first piece she wrote for double wind quintet. She believed the larger instrumentation allowed for better balance among this mix of instruments. It also bulks up the sound, presenting a symphonic wind lushness. The symphonic approach is also represented in the general form of the piece. With 4 movements, it comes across as a symphony in miniature, spanning about 20 minutes. Generally, Gipps' music represents the singing and folksy qualities of a lot of 20th century English composers, and this piece certainly demonstrates moments of that. But for me, it's also quite reminiscent of the evocative textural and timbral elements of Ravel and the rich chromaticism of Romantic era music. The opening of the first movement, for me, evokes a sunrise, or the bubbling up of a new day, almost suggestive of the opening of Debussy's second Daphnis and Chloe suite. It is in a loose ABA form with calm flowing themes over a contrasting repeated and rhythmic accompaniment in the A sections, and a more dramatic and lyrical middle section, the start of which is marked by a beautiful horn solo. The second movement presents an aria-like lament that is generally led by the English horn and French horn, but climaxes in various lush sections played by the whole ensemble. The noble song-like quality of this movement is indicative of Holst. The third movement is a rollicking scherzo propelled by fast articulated rhythms and then contrasted with a smooth minuet section in the middle. And the fourth movement begins with a slow introduction, a moment of reflection, before bounding into a playful dance between the instrument sections. Both articulated and lyrical themes coexist during this energetic portion of the movement, and then rapid 16th notes bring the piece to a dazzling close, which is also punctuated by a brilliant tam-tam roll. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed learning about Ruth Gipps's diverse life and music. Tune in on Saturday, April 24th at 7:30 p.m. to hear the Berks Sinfonietta Winds play her Sinfonietta Opus 73. And just a sneak peek into next month, we will be playing Ruth Gipps's Seascapes, which is another work for double wind quintet. Thanks again. Bye.